Hi, welcome to Help with Hannah and Calvin. I'm Calvin Reed.
I'm Hannah Jones, and we are here to answer your questions. This Cup podcast is brought to you by Little India. This is a beloved, local, family-owned restaurant with 4 locations throughout the Denver area and a coffee shop. Some of my favorites on the menu include the chicken korma, tamarind margarita, and all the samosas. If you live in Colorado, you should make this place a regular stop. And if you're visiting our great city, be sure you don't miss Little India. Visit littleindiadenver.com to find a location near you.
And thank you to Dude IDK, and thank you to Dude IDK Studios in Denver where we are recording.
Fantastic. How have you been this past week, Calvin?
You know, I think a couple weeks ago was rough for both of us, and then last week was a little bit better for us.
Yeah.
I'm continuing. I'm doing fine.
Yep, same. The sun is continuing to be out. I'm continuing to be not PMSing anymore.
Stunning.
And I feel great.
Stunnalina.
I think I found the apartment that I'm going to move into.
I know. I saw moving, and my first thought was she's getting out of the fucking horrible place you're in now.
Yeah. Okay. So longtime listeners of the pod will remember that my current property management company is the worst people in the whole fucking world. Truly, I hope that they live a painful life for just long enough and then die of unnatural causes.
Yes.
I'm getting heated again. I can't even,
Go
I'm
off.
like really mad because I'm not even being articulate about it. Okay. But every time, so I moved to Denver and I lived with a boyfriend that I moved too quickly into. We shared a $900 one-bedroom apartment, and
Okay.
it was pretty nice. Although I will say a 6-year-old was found dead in a storage unit on the property. But honestly, our experience was great. And when we broke up, the guy let us move out and break our lease because he was like, I'll let you break your lease if you just leave a positive review, because we don't get any positive reviews and it really fucks up the building. And we were like, okay, so we both left a positive review. And then I lived in a basement room for $700, a room of a beautiful house for like $800, and then I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment for $950. Okay. So rent's going up this whole time, but at every step of the way, I don't feel like I'm ever living in like the shittiest place possible. I feel like I'm living like $100 above the shittiest place.
Okay.
So I'm like not the poorest. I'm definitely not living in a nice place, but it is perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I had a 1-bedroom. It was the most beautiful apartment that I've ever lived in to date for $950. Gorgeous southwest facing windows.
Wow.
Mwah.
Yeah.
Although it didn't have air conditioning, and that shit got so hot in the afternoons in the summer, I just had to leave. I just had to go to a coffee shop because it was too hot to.
No,
be
I've lived in Colorado without AC in an apartment before, and I had to buy a
ceiling
unit.
fan. It was crazy.
I didn't have a ceiling fan in the living room, but I did in my bedroom at that apartment a long time ago. But yeah, it's hard though. Like mid-July and August afternoons, it's hard. Yeah.
So then I moved in with a boyfriend too quickly, and split his rent, and then moved out because it was too quickly, and we broke up. You're starting to see a pattern, I'm sure.
I am seeing a pattern.
Move into a place for $1150, and it's the worst apartment I've ever lived in. It is a basement. It was disgusting. The day that I moved in, I was shocked by how gross it was. I live next to a hoarder who gave me bed bugs. I have just had the worst fucking time in there. They're mean. It's undignified. I think it's very radicalizing to grow up with like a certain amount of privilege where it's like, I'm a young white girl, I get treated pretty well. Like even when I was broke, I was never treated as a broke person by the people around me. But then this was the first time where I'm like, oh my God, the indignities of like how people think it's okay to treat you when you're poor and you don't really have any recourse. And then I'm looking at places in the $1,100, $1,200 range for 1-bedrooms, preferably because my cat won't let me sleep if it's a studio. And horrifying. Calvin, I toured 2 different places with trash strewn about the outside of the building and people screaming like horror movie screams, like we're doing a skit about how bad an apartment could be. And
no.
one time there was a German Shepherd who was tied up outside with like a rope, not like a leash, a rope. And he looked like he was actually trying to like fucking kill me. And then I toured this place today where I walked in and I was like, oh my God, what's that smell? And the lady who was showing me the apartment was like, that's what I was thinking. Jesus Christ. She's like, I think it's been sitting too long. And then I'm like walking around and I'm like, yeah, to be honest. And she's like, oh no, yeah, you can't live here. You're like a young woman alone. You can't fucking live in this building. And I was like, well, I don't really believe in being scared of poor people, but I was thinking the same thing.
You know, when you come in and even they recognize the smell, they're like, when they're shocked at the quality, that's saying a lot because they're used to selling garbage. So
she was like, oof. And I just like, I think what I'm ultimately going to do is just get an apartment that is, you see, it's tough when you're a freelancer and all of your money is like the concept of what can I afford is very strange and blasé because it's like, well, how confident am I in how this year's going to go for me, you know?
Yeah.
And I was trying to be really frugal because I cut my guaranteed income because comedy was growing and is continuing to grow, but it's still so variable and so not to be relied on.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to move into a more expensive place and I'm so scared. But what I will say is that I can't live in one of those places. They're so disgusting and gross and scary. And so I finally toured a place today and it's crazy. I raised my budget by like $100 and all of a sudden just everything's $1,200 to $1,300 right now.
Okay.
And that's the price point that I used to be at when I was paying $900. It's just inflation and fucking cost of living. So now it's $1,300, but all of the like gorgeous like normal places to live are opened up to me now. So I found a place today that has a balcony.
Cute. I love a good balcony.
Yeah, it's really cute and I think I might apply for it tonight.
Is it cute location too?
Yeah, it's near Sloan's Lake, which
that's a great location.
I love that location. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to have a new neighborhood, and like there's so much within walking distance. The only two things that I don't love is that it's really far from like my best friend, who also she doesn't have a car. She shares a car with her husband, so it's like, wish I could be a little closer to her because she's the person who's least likely to drive to come see me, and then. But we already talked about it and I'll just drive across town to see her when I need to. And also she might move back to North Carolina within the year. So I probably shouldn't make like a big decision based on where she is. But then the other thing is that like I'm not sure what gym I'll want to join next. But there's a lot of options around that area.
There's a lot of great options around that area.
And also I can bike everywhere around Sloan's Lake. I could bike to Golden. I could bike to fucking Boulder. Like it's just perfect. I know that area by heart because I used to bike up the Cherry Creek Trail and then all around Sloan's Lake.
Are you like a biker?
I used to a lot, but now I live in Glendale, so like no, hardly at all.
Oh, I'm sorry you live in Glendale. I have not ridden a bike, like a true bike, since I was 11 or 12.
Oh.
I hated it as a kid. I was like, I don't want to do this. Cars exist. Like, why put me through?
Word.
And so I just haven't done it. I've rode assault bikes at the gym, but I now have this weird thing where I'm like, let me see how long I can go without riding a bike. And like, let me see how far I can make it work.
I mean, fair. No, my boss once bought me a bike as a bonus. So I have like a nice bike now. But for a while I didn't have a car around Denver, so I would just bike everywhere, which is part of why I think I fell so in love with the city because I know my way around by heart. I don't have to use Google Maps a ton because I just know all the cross streets. And biking's really good for it. Biking just really makes you feel at home in a place, I think.
I really like it's kind of the mix. It's the perfect mix of walking and driving because you're going faster than walking, but you get to see. Like,
it's the perfect mix of walking and driving.
It really is. I'm wise. I don't know what else to say. No, but it is,
I will
right?
say during the pandemic, I got like unhealthily. Well, back then I was hardcore anorexia, and I would just like not eat all day and then like bike 40 miles a day. I would just like bike all day, literally.
Yeah.
I like theoretically had work to do, but
I love that for you.
no, it was bad. It was
No, like
really
bad
unhealthy.
times, but like growth. We love
Growth.
We love that you can look
So
back and be like,
true.
look at where I'm at now. I still love to bike without the anorexia.
Okay, what's theater/past drama?
So, theater drama is just, it hits different. I don't know. Comedy
It's so
drama is
good.
its own thing, but theater drama just like hits me at a different level. I hate it. And I
Theater drama is always like people being so sensitive and opinionated, and comedy drama is always like that guy dated a 17-year-old, and everyone's like, ugh, stop talking about it.
that is true though, right? Yeah. Like in the theater drama, like everybody gets involved, where it's like comedy drama. I'll like find out two people hate each other happenstance on a show a year after something happened. And then they'll just be like, yeah, that person doesn't like them. I'm like, how would I know? Like, it's really easy to like avoid it, I guess, if you
Yeah.
want to in comedy. But in theater, it's just because everybody's an artist. They're all heavy feeler. Nah, nah, nah.
Yeah, there's a lot more dynamics at play
Mm-hmm.
and a lot more like loyalty. Whereas in comedy, it's like
Ultimately, solo sport.
100%, but specifically the social dynamics.
Yeah.
If like two people hate each other, no one's taking sides.
There's just
'Cause
like no
that's
reason.
Weird, and also we're all desperate for $40, so.
Which is true. But yeah, it's like in theaters just, and also I guess like the rehearsal process for theater is different because you're really spending a lot of time with the same group, where it's like comedy, I guess like comedy classes exist, but like you're all going to the same mics, you're all going to the same shows. Like there's just like a different kind of overlap. You can go different nights. Like you
Yeah.
might, like I'll see some people like once every couple of months. Like, whereas in theater, if you're on a show with them, you're going to see them all the time. During tech week, you're seeing them for like, 12 hours a day straight. And so
God, Tech Week.
like right, all the good stuff. So like I get why like the drama is different, and I so love my background in theater. I would not take it away for the world. As
miss
much
it.
trauma it's given me as many good things. Like I love it. But the fucking drama, I have friends who are in the theater scene still, and there was this big drama that happened at my college my senior year, and then also the year after I graduated.
Oh.
There were these group of people that like went on Twitter and were like bullying. They would literally bully students and like use it in the name of like inclusivity. Like it was like the worst thing you can think of for like that kind of stuff they were doing. And you like couldn't criticize them because they were like, well, we're all marginalized identities and we're all this. And it was all just, it created a really horrible dynamic because like they would get away with bullying, but no one felt like they could do anything. And now they're all graduated and in the theater world, and people are like avoiding them because of this. And I'm like, duh, I would also avoid you. And now like people are finding out, and it's just becoming like a mess again. And it's like, y'all, who's surprised? I'm not surprised. When you bully people online, it's going to come bite you in the ass at some point.
It is truly interesting. I think college, the years directly after college is when you start to realize that the universe bends toward truth, which is a spin-off of what is commonly referred to the universe bends toward justice. It does not at all. But it does bend toward truth in the sense that like somehow you're sitting in college and you're like, these social dynamics feel really weird. It feels like the worst people are the most popular, and it feels like my life sucks and I don't know why. And then you get like a couple years out of college and everything just settles how it's naturally supposed to be, and everyone's fighting their own demons to the degree that they should be. And it's like, oh my God, what? And I think it's because college is ultimately this big orchestrated farce
Yeah.
that it like it sort of like covers up a lot of the inherent truths about the world and about like personality types and stuff. And so it creates this situation where you're like, none of the consequences of these actions make any sense at all. And then right after, you're like, yes! And suddenly everyone hates them. We should have all hated them from the beginning, but I'm glad it's happening now.
Yep. And that's exactly what's happening. And like, as people are like finding out, the drama is getting re-brought up because people are like, well, why don't you like that person? And then all they have to do is just be honest. And so one of my friends who's like, who's still like in the theater scene a little bit more involved than I am, was just kind of like giving me like updates on things. And as she was talking to me, I was like, okay, so no drama has actually changed. It's all just the past, but more people are just finding out about it. And it was like, yes. And I was like, cool. So when because it was seriously like a group of people, and they would pick on students so badly that like students would want to transfer schools, students would bring in the dean, and it was like they would all be like, well, we're doing it in the name of social justice. And I'm like, social justice, like holding someone accountable is very different than bullying them. Like
Yeah.
very different, and they just like they couldn't grasp it or whatever. I'm convinced one of them is a cult leader, or a few of them. Like there's a whole thing. It's a whole shablam, and I just, as much as I'm very much a popcorn eater when it comes to drama. Like I'm like, once I know about it, give me all the details because now I want to know. But it's also just annoying as shit.
My problem is that I'm like a popcorn eater,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like on a stage in front of me. Right? And I'm like, yeah, tell her. And then they're like, oh, if you want to be so fucking mouthy.
Yep. And then I'm like, nope.
And I'm like, no, how did I end up on the stage too?
I'm like,
I
no,
thought
I'm
I was
done.
just watching.
Yep.
But I have such strong opinions about justice. And that is ultimately a big problem for me that I have to.
I'm glad, like, because like half the drama happened because part of it was also inspired by 2020, and I was in my senior year of college in 2020. So like half of the drama happened in 2020, and then the other half happened after I graduated. So like I learned about it, like the start of it, and then the rising action and stuff happened like the summer after I graduated, and then the
Can you
things
give
that
us
led.
any specifics, like an example of a
Ooh,
bullying?
yeah.
line?
Okay. Let me do one. So, like, this one girl criticized the group. This is actually true. This one girl criticized the group, and she sent a text to her best friend.
Criticize the bullying friend
Yeah,
group.
like,
and how many people are in the bullying friend group?
I would say it was 2, 3. It was probably like 4 or 5 people. Like it
Okay.
wasn't even a big group. They were just really vocal and thought they were a bigger deal than they were. And one of the this one girl texted her friend not in this friend group and was like, "Yeah, I like," and like you were all scared to like post anything on Twitter because they would do all their bullying on Twitter. They're like, "We're scared, like we can't post anything on Twitter. Like we're scared like the group is just gonna like attack us for like anything. Like I feel like I can't do anything." And that best friend screenshotted it, sent it to like the ringleader of that group, who posted it on Twitter and was like, "So why are you so scared? Why are you so scared? Like, tell us." And then all of the friends were like, "Yeah, why are you so scared? Tell us, tell us." And then she had to like get the dean to like get them to stop harassing her. All she did was go like, "Yeah, they're a little much. Like we don't like we're scared to post things because they're a little much."
Scary when you like tell someone you think you're confiding in them and you think you're bonding over it, and then they end up being a snake.
Yep, I liked that bitch too. The bitch who did it.
That's stressing me out just thinking about.
Honestly, if you're listening, bitch who did it, because you know you did it. I used to like you, and now I don't. You're fake. Like I used to be friends with this girl. I would talk shit with her. I would goot the gabble. She would tell me about all the times she was a
Goot
slut.
the gabble?
We would goot the gabble. I don't know. I came up with it. We would goot the gabble, and she betrayed it. She's a fucking bitch. Because I also was friends with the person that she betrayed. Because it's a small enough group. We all know each other. And I was like, y'all suck. Like, y'all suck. You are
Yeah.
bad people. And then, like, one person, sometimes they were right. Like, one time they did, like, whitewash casting. And that group called it out. And I was like, finally, you're doing something good. But then
Yeah.
instead of going to like the dean or like the professor who was behind the group and back to the group, they would go after the students. And I'm like, I get going after the students, but you're not going to make any change by going after students. You have to like talk to faculty to be able to make bigger changes on like a collegiate level. Because
Yeah.
like the students
Well,
won't even
the students
graduate.
Didn't cast the
Students did cast that show. Yeah. That's why they I can see why. But like there has to be like staff there. They let's put it like that. Much like all groups, they came in with decent intentions, call out injustices.
Yeah.
And then they just took it too far the second they realized that, they took it too far and would bully students. But every once in a while, I mean, even wrong clocks are right twice a day. Like even broken clocks
Wrong
wrong
clocks.
clocks. I want to call them wrong, but even broken clocks are right twice a day. So it's like they were right every once in a while with their stuff, but they lost all of their credibility in my eyes because they would just like bully people, and then they would be like,
Yeah.
"Well, we're social justice warriors. You're not. You're literally making this one." Someone like had to transfer schools. And one girl actually, she cheated on. Oh, this is actually real tea. This guy was dating a girl, and another girl had a crush on this guy, and this girl slept with this guy. And instead of taking accountability for it, he claimed that this girl basically like raped him while they were both drunk. Told like this guy, instead of taking accountability that he cheated on his girlfriend, told the ringleader, got the ringleader and his group to bully this girl so badly that she passed out one night during rehearsal because she was like barely eating. She couldn't do anything. Like she was just so stressed with like life.
Sorry, did she sexually assault him?
No.
Oh, okay.
They were both drunk at
That's
a
a
party.
pretty critical part
Yes,
of the
yes,
story,
sorry.
Calvin.
They
You
were-
left out the fact that she actually did not
She did not
sexually
she did
assault
not
him.
actually
Is
do it.
For the moment, I was like, yeah, it sounds like he got traumatized.
No, they were both drunk at a party. They had been flirting nonstop, like these two all the time. They were both drunk at a party, and they like I don't even think they slept with each other. Like made out, and instead of him taking ownership for like, yeah, I cheated, Like I cheated on my girlfriend. He was like, no, she took advantage of me. She got so badly bullied. Like again, faculty had to be brought in, whatever.
So because here's the thing.
Gosh, I want to use names, but it's hard.
Even if it was totally like, but it was just a makeout.
It was, they would claim it was sexual assault. Like they would claim like
right, but
everything.
on the scale of sexual assault, a non-consensual kiss is not very far on that scale.
Yeah,
it's not like irredeemable character flaw.
But they would make it seem like it was an irredeemable.
Hey, you fucked up and violated someone. Wow.
So instead of taking people, like holding people accountable, they would just be like, "Hey, you're done. You should go to the school. You should kill yourself." Blah blah blah. And they would be really mean. And this one girl, poor thing, she did fuck up and make out with like a guy who had a girlfriend. She knew he had a girlfriend too. But that guy, he waited. It was like 6 months or a year later when he took ownership just to the girl. He never took ownership to the girlfriend. He just like was like, "Hey, sorry, I lied to the guy. Like, sorry, I got convinced." A year later, he didn't publicly say anything. He just said it to her alone, and then was just like, and then this girl, I swear to God, then they made out in a professor's hot tub.
Oh my God.
Messy.
Everyone's
They're messy.
a
They're
mess.
messy. So,
and here's the thing. Fool me once, but fool me twice. Bitch, you made out with him again.
That's what I said.
After that whole thing, because that's when I lose all the sympathy.
In a professor's hot tub. I was like, y'all are nasty. Y'all are nasty.
Slut. And why the fuck does a professor have a hot tub filled with students? Why the fuck would a professor have a hot tub full of students?
Exactly.
Your college is a fucking mess.
Dude, my college is wacky. I loved it though. So, you went on a second date with somebody?
I did with bowling guy.
Yes, but I thought about that. I asked my friends if they had ever gone on bowling dates, and one of them said yes, and they said it was fun. It was intriguing.
Yeah.
I loved it. So how did second date go?
It was cute. It was to a movie, and the movie sucked.
What movie?
It was Late Night with the Devil.
Really? You're
It's
the first
got
person.
Such a high Rotten Tomato score. It was so boring, and like the plot was pretty predictable, and it was not very horror-y.
Okay, that's so interesting. I've heard you're the first person to give me a bad review. Everybody else has raved about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so sometimes those low-budget horrors like Pearl, everyone was the same way. It's like, I thought X was really good and interesting and novel, but I thought Pearl was just like very random.
I thought they were both kind of overrated. I was like, they're
That's
slow.
fine.
They're
Yeah.
both slow.
Pearl was really fucking slow.
Pearl
This one
was
was
really
really
slow.
fucking slow too.
Good to
I
know.
just did not feel like it was particularly like scary or
Well, I'll wait to
interesting.
watch it at home. I was going to pay in the theater, so I'm glad you
I
because
wouldn't.
slow burn horror movies are hard.
Mm-hmm.
They're tough because they're like boring.
It was a really boring movie. No, but the movie was my choice, so I can hardly hold that against them. Probably not like a love connection,
okay.
vibes wise, but then like also nothing physical happened. So then I got like crazy in my head, and I was like, "Am I getting like friend zoned? What's happening? What the fuck?" And then I like lost my mind a little bit, and then I realized that sometimes if you don't have like because he was like, "Let's go out again," which I am down with, except for I don't want to go out again as friends.
Yes, yeah.
This feels like a lot of friendship for someone I'm not that interested in being friends with.
That me and my roommate just had a conversation about that. She went on a date and like that person is like physical is like you would assume a date to be. And it's just like, are we friends or are we not? Like, I don't want new friends. I want to hook up. She wants to hook up with people, but
Literally.
like, yeah.
Same. Like, and it's it's like I get that it's like respectful or whatever.
But like hold the hand, put in the effort, do something small that just like lets you know it's not a date. Or it is a date, sorry.
Yeah.
Or make something or put in something that makes it not a date, like call you bro or something, you know? Like do something like make a real sign.
Yeah. The problem is that I don't have a flirty vibe.
Okay, you and I have never flirted, so I
I
wouldn't
don't
know. Yeah.
I can't really giggle. And like I can laugh for sure, but I can't really giggle, you
Interesting,
know?
okay.
And I can't like touch an arm in a way that is at all natural.
Oh yeah, neither can I.
So I sort of just rely on the other person taking 100% of the initiate. I can't like meet them halfway, and I feel like that's a failing of my own because
Yeah, I can see that.
it requires the other person to have like a great deal of confidence for a vibe to be created, for like a flirty vibe to be created, because I'm not like contributing to the flirty vibe.
I've tried to touch the arm before. I'm really bad at it because I'm not a super physical person until I'm like attracted to someone. Like I'm not a huge hugger. Like I don't need to hug my friends, whatever. Like that's just not who I am. But then the second I'm like romantically really interested in someone, I'm like, if you're not holding my hand, you think I'm an ugly toad, don't you?
I don't like hand holding really.
I do. I hate it. I hate that I like it because it makes your hands sweaty. But like
Yeah.
when I'm attracted to them, I'm like, you have to touch me or else I will get sad, which is weird. I wish I just didn't like touch, but whatever. So I try and do that. My big thing is I'll do a kiss at the end of a date. And I'll be
Yeah.
like, want to kiss? And then that's like typically my thing. Because I'm bad at everything else, I can go out and be like, kiss me. And then that'll be like my final telltale sign.
See, I'm fucking diseased. That's the problem, is that I'm so insecure right now that I feel like if I initiate anything, it'll be like wrong. Like I
Yeah.
didn't like if I were to initiate something, even if it still happened, it's like, oh well, they were just like okay with that happening.
I mean, I feel like that's kind of the narrative that they give women anyways, is that like anytime a woman initiates, the guy's always going to say yes. We're always just waiting for the girl to bring it up or to give the go ahead. I feel like that's such a narrative that's like painted on all women anyways.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like, do you think that's like part of it?
Yeah, I think I just like I'm really insecure right now.
That's valid. It's not fun, but that makes sense. And it's hard to like want to be dating and flirty when you're like
Yeah.
struggling with that.
Because
Yeah.
then afterwards, I was like, do I even want to go on another date?
Oh, and it's nothing to do with him, as we've talked about before. It's always,
Yeah.
you're just like, am I feeling it? And then it's just, you don't feel great
And then
about
I was
yourself.
like, do I want to go on any other date with anyone ever again? You know?
Yes. Yes, I do know that feeling quite well. Yes. Ooh, and it sucks even after a good date when you still have that feeling. It sucks.
Yeah, it sucks like when you have you're like, oh, definitely like the right kind of attention could definitely like cure this insecurity for good, but then it can't.
It never can.
Never
You always
can.
think it can and it never does.
And then you're just like, oh, okay, well, I'm fucked forever then.
You're like, oh, cool, this is just an insecurity.
Yeah,
It's
but
not
I'm
a
always
temporary
gonna
one.
feel like this. Then what's the point of anything? You know?
Yes. Wow. Yes, that is true. I feel like people can like help with it though. Like people can help you like while you're working on it. I feel like people can always like help put a bandage on things that you're actively working on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if you were to actively work on insecurity and then you were to date someone, they can help you put like a band-aid over that while you're working on
I
it.
have. I've gone to therapy. I've talked about it in therapy extensively. It's so annoying. I've talked about it to friends and everything. I've never made any headway on it.
You probably have made headway on it. You just haven't realized it.
Not really.
Really?
Sorry, I'm being so defeatist right now.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I unfortunately just like can't agree with that. I mean, I don't like live your life, but
I don't know if it's like rose-colored glasses on the past, but I feel like every relationship that I'm in, I come out as a less confident person. Genuinely.
interesting.
Sometimes I feel like relationships like have this vampiric element to it,
I do agree with that.
where they like suck away your confidence and your sparkliness.
Yeah. I feel like that's definitely like a part of like dating, is trying to find someone who can like who can help you like wait, oh my gosh, Casey Musgraves has a song lyric that's totally missing me, but it's like talking about you're trying to lift me up instead of holding me down.
Yeah.
Wait, you're trying to steal my son instead of stealing my crown. You're trying to give me my son instead of take my crown. Something like that. Like where it's like their goal is to like someone's there. And it's hard because it's like when you are used to having someone there and then they're gone and that person was like a solid rock in any way, shape, or form. Like there is going to just be like a change, right? So I don't know if you come out less confident, as it's just different and it's something you have to re-explore. Because when I first met you, you weren't dating your last person to like now. And I think you're more confident than when I first met you.
Yeah, you're right. Oh God, when you first met me, I was a mess.
When I first met you, I was like this bad bitch. I was enthralled immediately.
Wow,
Truly,
thank you
I
so
was
much.
literally like, "Oh, we're gonna be friends." She doesn't know it yet, but like, we will be
Wow,
friends.
that's so nice.
Oh yeah, no, I remember thoroughly our first meeting.
Well, that does make me feel better. Okay. But did you have another, or was that your?
That was it. It's
Sweet.
been driving me crazy. All of my friends are like, "This is the drama we're going over again." And I'm like, "Yes,
I
just
love
to
it.
new people."
J'adore.
It's amazing.
It would be so fun to talk about if I could hear the names and the things involved.
I'll show you screenshots if you want after. I'll show you screenshots. I got you. Yeah.
Okay, before we get into the questions for today, I have some shows coming up. Just kidding, they're all sold out.
Okay. Okay, but that's hot
teaser.
though. Okay, bitch.
Yeah, we're already like pretty much half sold through our next new material show. And I mean the one that's
amazing.
after tomorrow night.
Wow.
So yeah, we're a month sold from that. So anyway, yeah, always follow me and sign up for my text list to get upcoming tour dates. We are working on New York, Boston, Philadelphia, Dallas, Austin, and Houston. So if you're in any of those cities, you should get on our text list, but you should also just get on our text list in general, because that's the only reliable way to hear about my tour dates. And I'm not gonna sell your information. It's literally just a spreadsheet that only I ever use, but I promise you will not see my stories if you think that you're gonna just wait to see my story. Okay, anyway, you go ahead, Calvin.
So none of my shows are sold out, but maybe, I don't know. But I have shows coming up. April 17th, I'm at X Bar opening for Lisa Lane. If you know who she is, she's a bad bitch. April 25th, I'm at Fraco's Bar, and then April 26th, I'm at Wide Right.
Fantastic. This podcast is sponsored by the Patreon. Patreons get an exclusive episode every month. Some people have described them as spicier than regular episodes. A lot of times, if I say something in an episode that I realize that I don't want a certain person to hear, I'll just make it a Patreon episode. So they are usually a little spicier. They contain something I'm like accidentally wish I hadn't said. Because I feel safe with you guys. And it's only $3. And I genuinely think that most people out there, if you're financially lucky enough that $3 is not something you would necessarily notice or miss, if you got $3 laying at the bottom of your purse, then maybe you could also send $3 to your favorite artist. It makes a huge difference for us. We are desperately trying to keep this podcast going. It is not something we would describe as profitable. What we are really just trying to do is pay our studio fees. So patreon.com/HannahJonesCool. Please sign up.
And if you want to ask a question to get answered in a future episode, you can find the link to that forum in the podcast description or on either of our link trees or in any of our social media platforms.
Fantastic. Alrighty, question number 1. My girlfriend has a friend who was a former friends with benefits. He's an okay guy, but not someone I would be friends with personally. He has a daughter who is the same age as my girlfriend's daughter, and they go to the same school. I should also add they are both special needs and are essentially each other's best friends. I feel guilty for wanting this friendship to fizzle out, but I don't like being around this guy. But he seems to benefit everyone else in my life around me. Should I just grin and bear it? Is there anything to do? Signed, Chef E.T.
I hate it when people are positive in every other aspect of your life except your own.
Huh?
What I said didn't make sense.
No,
it didn't.
not even a little bit.
Wow, and
Try
I was
again,
so confident too.
Get it together.
It sucks when people are really helpful in other people's lives that you're close to, but do absolutely nothing to you. Like, it's bad for you, but it's great for everybody else. Like, I have...
Like, when I privately hate someone and I have perfectly good reason, but, like, I know no one's ever going to be on my side.
Yes.
Yes. It is hard. And I know that you don't have a good reason for hating him, because if you did have a good reason, you would have included it here. But you just kind of don't vibe with this guy. And that is the worst kind. Because in your head, you're, like, trying to come up with a good, rational reason why you don't like him. But at the end of the day, you just don't vibe with him.
It happens.
It does happen, but I think that unless there's something big that you're leaving out of this, I do think you need to grin and bear it, because he is having a positive impact in everybody else's life.
Yeah, like, unfortunately, because and girl, you find somebody you can always just like vent to about like him specifically. Like, find like a friend outside of it. You can be like, I just don't like this guy, because venting will help you grin and bear him way more easily. If you just know you can like text someone being like, I swear to God, he's here. I'm sick of it.
But I think if we get down to what exactly about this guy's vibe that you don't like, it's like that his dick's been in your girlfriend. I think that's pretty obvious.
Well, my GF has a friend. Oh, who was? Never mind. Yeah, I read it that the narrator was the former Friends with Benefits. That was my
Oh,
bad.
no, super
I
different.
misread it. Yeah. Wow. I just like really was off kilter with this one.
Also, like realistically, how often do you have to see him?
Well,
She sees him in the school pickup line.
Yeah.
Your daughters hang out together, whatever. But like, realistically, is he coming over for Christmas? Like, he's not coming over all that often. I feel like it would be so easy to just avoid him. I feel like you should tell your girlfriend, like, sorry if I'm like awkward. I don't really want to be friends with him, but I'm glad that he has a positive impact in your life. But like, where's the pressure coming from that you have to be greater friends with him?
yeah,
I
like
would
are you
never
guys like
expect you to be
are they like
friends.
doing like a carpool thing? Because if their
Yeah.
kids are best friends and if they both have special needs, that probably means they're on like similar like schedules at school or whatever. Like I could see maybe like carpooling being a thing, but then if you're carpooling, you're not seeing the other parent.
Is he a member of a bigger social circle? And you have like a lot of mutual friends and he comes over for game night, because that could be so annoying.
That could be kind of annoying. I could see why that one would be fun.
Truly brutal.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I'm just like a really likable person, so like I just get along with everybody. No, just kidding. Well, but I do have people that I just don't connect with. Like I just haven't been able to get the vibe yet. The vibe has not passed the vibe check either way. I don't think and it's just awkward. And I get why you don't want to have to deal with it. It's awkward. Like it's not fun to have to deal with someone you just can't mesh with for no particular reason.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're just a super jealous person that needs to do some moral reflection.
I would say that you have to use this, and I have been in a very similar situation where it's like there's someone that I don't like, but I can't die on the hill of not liking them. And I know it's not worth it to die on the hill of not liking them. So you just have to view this as like demonstrating character growth. So you have to walk into every situation as like it's not about being fake to him. It's about like being a strong enough person to make room for everybody in your life, even if his dick's been in your girlfriend.
God gives his toughest soldier, or fuck, my gosh, I cannot get my words out today. God gives his toughest battles to his hardest working soldiers. Maybe you're a hardworking soldier, baby. I know I didn't get
his
the phrase.
strongest
Strong.
soldiers.
I fucking hate myself. My
You're
gosh.
not very good at sayings.
No, I'm not. My mom has this.
What was the one you
thing.
said earlier?
We goot the gabble or something.
Good the gavel. And then you also said something even before that, like the week.
Oh, fuck. I'd probably every episode you can probably
okay.
come up with something. My mom does this thing where she gets things so close to being correct but not right, to where you know exactly what she's saying, but she's saying it wrong.
Yeah.
She called Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon No Teeth. She was like, the dragon no teeth. Like, yes, I know who you're talking about, but that's wrong.
Yeah, moms always do. My dad does that a lot. He like messes something up in a very specific way where it's like, you're so close, it feels purposeful to not go the extra
and now
last
that's
mile.
what I'm doing. Yeah. I've now picked up on it. One time my mom called, like, she said something was like going around the goose, coming around the gander. I don't even know what the fuck that means. Like,
yeah,
what?
wait, there is a saying that has goose and gander in it.
There is, but but she meant to say what goes around comes around, and then she also combined like what's with the goose is with the gander. Like she combined the two when I needed help on work. I was like, Mom, I just wanted to rant to
Good
you about
enough
work.
for the goose, good enough for the gander. Is that what it is?
I'm the wrong person to ask.
Okay. Basically it's a character building opportunity, but you do have to grin and bear it. Is there anything else to do? I think that if it's a thing where you have to like regularly see him at some like group game night, what you need to do is you need to have a friend in another state and you need to create the character. Let's say this guy, the former Friends with Benefit, is like Mark, and you create the character of Mark, and you're on the phone with your long distance friend and you're like, Mark came over again and he said this unbelievably stupid thing. Sometimes indulging in your hate with like a few select people that aren't involved in the group situation, the group dynamic, does allow you to like just get over it easier, because you don't want to put that on your girlfriend, because that just makes her life harder and awkward. She has to like manage your feelings about him and be scared about how you're going to interact with each other. So definitely don't put it on her.
No.
But definitely like feel free to rant about him to like your mom or something.
Venting to someone outside of the situation can be beautiful.
It's the perfect topic for catching up with your siblings on the phone or whatever. It's a phone call topic ultimately.
And you'll find someone who will eat up every word you have to say about that.
100%.
Every word. 100%.
Alrighty.
Cool. Next question. While I, 31 male, was visiting DC 4 months ago, I met a beautiful woman, 27 female. We had a really lovely time over drinks and nothing more. After I flew back to San Francisco, we messaged a bit, but it became obvious we're both too busy to play texting tag, so we started a correspondence to keep in touch. That's cute. What started as just some innocent letters now feels like a stronger connection and feeling seem neutral.
I think you meant to say mutual.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, then why are you talking if they feel neutral? But we'll say mutual. I'm unsure where to go from here, or even if I even should. Is it dumb to try and make this work from 3,000 miles away? Should we just stay pen pals? Signed, Tom Banks. That was cute.
Absolutely try to make it work. But go visit.
I agree. I think if you're talking,
Yeah.
like, who cares? If you're happy, if you're fulfilled,
Because
do it.
the visit will either fuel the fire and you'll be like, oh my God, this is actually a once in a lifetime thing, or it might like squash it immediately. But the problem with living in the pen pal correspondence is that you don't actually know whether it's real or fake. It could be either and it would still feel like love, unfortunately. So just try not to live in the like fake, potential of it, because you could lose out on real world experiences.
I've had a long-term thing where we like met like long distance, and then we talked and we got to know each other. We did like FaceTime dates or whatever for months. And we got really, really close, and then he came to visit. And then once we like had actually met in person, it kind of opened the eyes for him to end things with me. And then guess what? He knew.
Yeah. Sometimes when you meet in person, the vibe is just not there.
Yeah.
Because establishing an in-person vibe is just like, it's just so rare.
Yeah. It was for me. It was not for him. And
Yeah.
that's what happens. But
Well,
at least
that means
you know.
it's not there.
Yeah.
One person does not a vibe make.
My vibes were all in check. But yeah, no, I think it's worth it. I'm a romantic at heart. I think anything's possible.
Yeah.
So it's like, honestly, the vibes could be there, and it could be like a really delightful another meeting you have. And it's a really cute way to talk.
Specifically, it's not dumb to do it, but it's dumb to not do it.
Yes.
Because the longer you wait, the more you will build it up in your head as like a real deep relationship. And then you might arrive and find out it's not there, or find out that it's not for her, and like that would be so heartbreaking. So I would just like, if you have the money, just visit her ASAP. On a spontaneous level. If you've been invited, obviously be like, hey, I think it would be so cool to see you again. I really want to know if this is like something that could
I think that's
happen.
so you're right. It's dumb if you don't, because you're always going to look back, as much as it might suck if like the vibes aren't there once you like meet in person. But knowing that allows you to like be like, yeah, I was pen pals with somebody and it was really cool. We met in person, it didn't work out. Like being able to have closure with this kind of stuff will go so much further than the always wondering.
And the problem with pen pals, the problem with like vaguely romantic pen pals is that people, a vast majority of them, have a habit of using a long distance of correspondence as like a sort of like salve, a little drug, so that when she goes on, like, let's say that this whole time she's like dating other people pretty regularly, and she goes on like a terrible date, and then she comes home and writes a letter to you, and she's like using that to like feel an intimate connection, even though she's not interested in like making it work from long distance. You could be getting that treatment, and that would be really unfair. So I think a visit allows you to really nail down whether there's any potential there. And the longer you let it go on without a visit, the more you could end up hurt.
Which isn't fun.
Or she could.
Yeah, because if the vibes aren't there. Beautiful. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. I've experienced many different versions of monogamous, casual, open, and poly relationships, and yet still find myself continuously either breaking someone's heart or being heartbroken due to the nature of if you love them, let them go philosophy. Is it really possible to find equilibrium in balancing multiple relationships, platonic or otherwise, without people feeling used or left by the wayside when those relationships inevitably change? How would you go about laying groundwork for actually caring and smooth transitions, either as the actor or reactor? Signed, Bathing in Spaghetti.
That name makes me want to jump off a cliff. Bathing in spaghetti just sounds gross. The only thing I've ever done with open relationships is like hookups. Like I've done that, and that's as far as I'm willing to go. Like I'm a monogamous person because I know I'm a jealous person. Is it something I need to work on? Yes. But like that's just like who I am. So I personally would have a really hard time not feeling like the person who's left out, or I would have a hard time with that. With friends, I feel like it's pretty easy for me to be able to identify like where this friend like works for me, like what strengths does this specific relationship have versus this one. Sure, they probably have overlap, but like something about this person makes me want to be friends with them and something about this person separately makes me want to be friends with them. I'm able to identify that. But I think that is like, I feel like, isn't that one of life's questions though, is being able to balance relationships?
And I come from the opposite thing where like friendships really trigger a lot of my innate insecurities, where it's like as they ebb and flow and as other people become closer friends, like let's say you all meet around the same time, but like some people gel more than you gel with them and you like didn't see that coming, or like all of a sudden, and like that shit, it is like my life's work to overcome all of that and try to figure out like what I actually want out of friendships and then how to like go about getting that and protecting myself.
Yeah.
I would say that open relationships are probably similar, right? To friendships. There's a certain level of comfort with the fact that like I have certain friends in my life where we have said explicitly to one another like, oh, you're my best friend, you're my ride or die, you're a priority for me, right? But like that also means that like when my best friend is like most likely going to move within the year, like that is going to be so hurtful and painful. And I don't know, like there's pros and cons to making commitment explicit versus the open relationship polycule where everything can change in a moment's notice. Is it that you want more predictability? Because I think you could get more predictability by just like finding people who are affirming like your commitment to one another. Like, oh yeah, I want like a steady, we see each other this often, and like we're looking for a long-term consistent steady thing.
Yeah. I have some friends that like there are some people in the comedy scene that are like open relationships or in poly relationships, and they talk about like the fact that just communication is like the key to making those successful. And I do believe that they can be successful. I don't personally believe they would be successful for like me, but I've like seen it work.
So honest though, the communication is key thing. It's like I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard like a new agey, very therapized, open relationship person absolutely talk themselves in fucking circles and it just pisses you off? Because it's like I have kind of come to the conclusion that like communication is not key. I think sometimes compatibility is key, and communication can only move you like 2 percentage points in either direction.
Interesting. See, I view how communication is done as a part of compatibility. So in my opinion, to me, I'm like when I say communication's key, that to me also includes like the compatibility of communication, because some people are more communicative than others. Yeah. And that to me does ultimately end up with compatibility, because communication is so important in relationships that you have to be able to communicate or find your own way of doing it. But I do see what you mean, where it's like the compatibility has to be there, because if you're not compatible, you can talk shit out forever and nothing's going to change.
One of my favorite stand-up jokes of all time was written by a Denver comic, Ben Duncan. He says, listening to two people who have been to too much therapy fight is like listening to a blind person and a deaf person try to find each other. It's like, I see you. Do you hear me? Yes, I'm seeing you. I'm hearing you.
Oh my gosh. That sounds, gosh, Ben is so fucking funny. That sounds like a Ben Duncan joke.
You know Ben Duncan?
I think so, right? He moved really recently, but
yeah. Okay, yeah. I didn't realize that.
We don't know each other. We're not like friends. I've always thought he was funny. Like,
because I guess he was around at Rise a lot.
He was,
but he like quit he quit coming out to like open mics and shows and stuff a while ago. Okay, anyway, but all that is to be said. I think that perhaps that is life's work, but the idea that monogamy serves no usefulness and it's just this like tool of possession is like very stupid in my opinion.
I
and
agree.
You might just be better suited for monogamy. It sounds like you're not vibing. And here's the thing. I am perfectly fine suited for polyamory. I'm just not suited to the people who do it. God, I hate them. On average, I find them to be the most like pussy drying people on the planet.
Yeah.
So I know I will probably end up in monogamy. So I practice the skills of monogamy. And the skills of not fucking another person is actually pretty easy to acquire. It's phenomenally easy for me to not cheat on people. So I've never really had an issue with either.
I would not. I know for a fact I'm a monogamous person, but I don't know. I mean, it's also different because like so many, and we've talked about this before. So many gay guys are in open relationships.
Yeah.
And they seem to make it. I don't know. I don't like ask them about like the details of it because it makes me sad that they're in a relationship and I'm not. So like, I don't ask them about the details of their openness, but they seem okay.
Poly people just love to talk about being poly like it's their fucking
They do.
sexual orientation, or it's their like they're a religious zealot and they're introducing you to the one true God. And it's like, okay, well,
I'm glad it works for you, but I am down to be fucking the same person. I'm down for that.
yeah.
Like I'm perfect. Like that doesn't sound like scary to me.
I just don't think the one true God would, have a mohawk and a tail personally, but
I fucking hope and pray not.
okay, fantastic. Last bit.
Awesome. This is an Am I the Asshole? I'm changing it up.
Woohoo!
We're doing a different Am I the Asshole, completely different subject. We'll see how it goes. So,
Love.
Am I the asshole for calling my wife insecure and selfish on our wedding day? I, 28 male, and my wife, 26 female, got married last Wednesday, and the ceremony was amazing. My wife was very strict on the fact that no guest is allowed to wear white, which is understandable because for females, that's considered rude or bad luck at weddings, I think. I didn't know that until reading that paragraph.
The females was a red flag, and then the I think was the weirdest.
I didn't know that was a thing, though. But I also
That
don't.
is a thing. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a really big thing. You can't wear white.
Interesting. Okay. So ignorance on my part. Anyways, but the reception was going well too until I noticed my wife walking over to the bathroom with her face held in her hands. Obviously, I could tell my wife was upset as we've been together for 3 years now, and I can tell when she's upset. I rushed across the room telling guests 1 minute as I hurried by them. Once I got to the bathroom, I knocked on the door and informed my wife that it was me at the door. After a few minutes, I heard the door unlock and open. When I got in and saw my wife sitting on the floor with mascara running down her cheeks. I asked her what was wrong, and she told me that one of our nephews was wearing white jeans and a white bow tie. I immediately thought to myself, how is she completely overreacting because he's a 6-year-old child and he had no idea you can't wear white to a wedding.
Also, the reason you're not supposed to wear white is because someone might mistake you for the bride. No
See,
one's
that's
mistaking your nephew for the bride.
I knew that, so I was like, how is that bad luck, though?
Is that woman in a cupcake the bride, or is that 6-year-old little boy with a fun bow tie the bride?
Like I knew like don't wear white if you're like a bridesmaid because you don't get mistaken for the bride. But I was like, I didn't know like.
Well, if you're a bridesmaid, your outfit is for the most part picked out for you. Yeah. And then if you're a guest, you're just not supposed to wear white.
Yeah, I just in my head I was
but it's also like, okay, if you don't know who the bride is, maybe you shouldn't come to the wedding. Like, maybe you're a waste of the chicken plate. To be honest,
honestly, because your chicken plate is like $45 fucking. Anyways, I told her that she was overreacting, but in a much nicer way. And I said
I'm sure it was a lot nicer.
I imagine that's exactly what you said.
I'm sure that you were the perfect communicator in this situation.
And I said that she should go enjoy the reception and forget about the whole thing. She eventually texted her sister to come to the bathroom and fix her makeup so she could go back out and have a good night. After a while, I saw her talking to my sister, the mom of our nephew, and I thought she was just making conversation. And about an hour later, my sister pulled me aside and berated me for my wife's behavior. She said that my wife had asked her and her son to leave unless she had a change of clothes for him.
Oh my God.
This was far from okay to me, so I asked my wife to talk and explained everything my sister told me. My wife said she was completely in the right for what she asked, and I told her that if she kicks my family out, then I will happily leave too. My wife started crying again and saying that this is her day and she doesn't want it to be ruined by her nephew. This angered me because I had enough of her ruining our day over something silly. I then said she was not only selfish, but that she was insanely insecure if she's worried about a 6-year-old looking better than her.
Oh, I guessed his age, right?
My wife's been staying with her mother since the wedding, and we haven't spoken once. Her mom reached out to me this morning and said that I need to apologize right away for being out of line. I really don't believe I'm in the wrong here. So what do you think? Am I the asshole? I ultimately don't.
Your wife's insane. I have a hard time believing that this is the first time she's been insane about something.
I agree.
I think maybe she was always kind of neurotic in particular, and you didn't really care because that's just how women are. And then she went through the most stressful, overwhelming project management experience of her life, which is what a wedding is, and that's why women will often cry on their weddings. And that seed of personality that you had seen before got completely blown up And that is who she was when she was like at her fucking worst. I think in general, if your wife is crying on your wedding day, you should understand that it's like an extraordinarily stressful experience.
Yes.
And you should not call her irrational. You should just ask what you can do to help. And I think that I have a little tiny part of me wonders that if you had been like, oh gosh, I understand how overwhelming and stressful this is. Is there anything I can do to help with your stress? Instead of being like, you're being dumb and immature and rolling your eyes and then leaving the bathroom, then I think that perhaps she wouldn't have had to like double down and try to kick people out of your wedding to save face. But I cannot speak to that. I've never been in a relationship with someone like that because I never would be, because she sounds fucking awful.
Yeah. Like she sounds neurotic, but you also don't sound like a good communicator.
Yeah,
like
you sound kind of
like
dumb. She sounds crazy and you sound dumb. And ultimately, is that not the most heterosexual wedding you've ever heard about?
Honestly, truly, I've had my mom. So I've had quite a few weddings. I'm on the younger side of all my cousins, so I've seen all of my cousins' weddings. So I've been to quite a few, and I've seen bridesmaids that are, or not bridesmaids. I've seen brides that are kind of calm on their wedding. I've seen brides that are, they might kill somebody. I've seen everything in between when it comes to brides. And I've had some people be like, I don't want to say bridezilla because that sounds bad, but like they were really mean. And it's obviously makes sense. You're planning this, like, of course the stress is there, right? Like that's so valid, but you do take it out on the wrong people, AKA this nephew,
100%.
right? One of my cousins took it out on my mom, made my mom cry. And then obviously I'm going to defend my mom. Oh, piss me off. And I was like, yeah, well, you're kind of a bitch. Obviously, it makes sense that you would be one on your wedding, but this is showing you a very true person of who you are, and your goal was to like kind of hurt somebody. Obviously, take it with a grain of salt. My cousin apologized to my mom. Like it's over. No one talks about it because you apologized, whatever. So she was being neurotic and crazy, but he should have been much more supportive. And I feel like that would have maybe switched her. I agree with you. It would have switched her from not talking to the sister right away. But expecting a 6-year-old to leave a wedding that has done nothing but wear the clothes that they're wearing is very problematic. You cannot kick a 6-year-old out of a wedding for something like that. The 6-year-old will remember. Well, they might not realize what's going on, but I think they would remember, like, oh, why am I leaving? Like, what did I do? Like, I feel like when you're getting kicked out.
How late is a 6-year-old even trying to stay at a wedding? Sorry. I don't.
Could have been a daytime wedding.
I guess, yeah, a daytime dry wedding. Here's the thing. I think a couple weeks before your wedding, every young couple should sit down and say, like, how in all the conversations you're having leading up to your nuptials, you should say, how do you want to handle if things go wrong on the wedding day? What's our script? What if this thing goes wrong? What if this thing goes wrong? What if my family is so fucking annoying and they say the rudest fucking thing to you? Oh, well, you should know that it's really important to me that you just bite your tongue and we don't address it until after the wedding. Something like that. I think that you should definitely have had this conversation beforehand. I think you should definitely not marry this bitch. And so the fact that she's staying with her mom is probably good because it's better for the annulment. Yeah,
my first thought was you should also get annulled.
Although I'd assume this Reddit post is a little too old for that.
I mean, yeah, you're right. Because this, I don't know, her reaction to everything, and upon like reflecting, like at least my cousin who was a bitch on her wedding day, at least like the next day she reflected and was like, oh, like I was a little harsh or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like this person has done anything.
The pressure on women on their wedding day to be beautiful, sexy, while also running an extremely complicated event by themselves with a minimized budget that's fun for everyone, including the dude and all of his dude friends who show up and very rarely help with any of the planning and admin. The fact that all of those pressures are on a woman is a recipe to become her worst self.
Yes.
You should already know, ideally, what someone looks like at their very worst before you get married.
Yes.
And you should be comfortably predicting that that's what they will be like on their wedding. And if you don't want to see that side of them on their wedding, then you should be asking how you can alleviate some of the pressure of the wedding. And you should be prepping for that. And potentially even having a traditional wedding is an insane thing to do. I think it's an insane thing to do.
I want to have
Unless
one.
you have enough money to have like a white glove wedding planner service where you don't have to do much. Because I just can't imagine throwing the biggest party of my life and also having to look hot the same day. I would kill myself.
That's super valid. It's hard.
And having to have sex that night? Ugh. I mean, no one does.
I was to say no one
has
does.
sex on
The only
wedding
people
night,
who do
but-
are the Mormon weddings, and then they don't plan their weddings. They just like, you know, do their little kumbaya and then, you know, beat people, you know, whatever, like be horrible. Anyways, but yeah,
Sorry,
it's.
do Mormons have like a domestic violence problem that I don't know about or something?
I'm assuming they
Or are
do.
you thinking of Ruby Frankie?
No,
Oh, okay.
I was just thinking the fact that I have something against Mormons, but like, yes, go off.
Word.
But it's if I can find a time to blame it on Mormons, I'm going to blame it on Mormons. But
I just don't like their eyes, the dead Mormon eyes.
that's like super valid. I don't like how horrible they are. I don't like how culty they are. It's just that's my thing.
Right, of
with the
course.
dead eyes is really valid. Yeah, because you societally speaking, we need to put less pressure on weddings, on women at weddings, and on you know women in general 100%, because you're right, it's a recipe for like it's setting brides up to like have shitty wedding days, and that's not fun, that's not good for them, it's not good for anybody. But we're not there yet societally speaking, so what he should have done was really I have a feeling he said things in a nicer way, and I'm convinced he just didn't. Like, I don't know. I have a hard time trusting this guy as like being as chill as he seems like he is.
I have a feeling that she's always been crazy, and he just like doesn't pay attention to anything she's feeling until it's like inconveniencing him in a major way.
He's like, I know she's upset.
He's just like, yeah, she would always be upset about stuff like this, but what really gets to me is she talked to my sister, and now my sister's pissed, and that's super inconvenient for me. It's like,
she's like, I saw her running to the bathroom. I knew she was upset. If I saw anybody running to the bathroom, they're either upset or have the shits, which means they're upset. Like, nobody runs to the bathroom. Or, sorry, you might vomit. Like, nobody runs to the bathroom perfectly. Like, no one runs to the bathroom and everything's perfectly fine. Like, congratulations, you can pick out context clues of humanity. That's not...
and if you've truly never seen anything in her personality like this, if this truly caught you 100% off guard, there was no seeds to it before, there was no breadcrumbs. In that case, she might be mentally unwell.
Which I guess, yeah, that is a possibility.
One easy reason that I can think of, and the reason that I think a lot of people become bridezillas, is because a lot of women try to lose weight before their wedding, and so
Yeah,
they
you're right.
stop eating. And I don't know why we don't still culturally understand this, but like, anorexic girls are cunts. They're cunty. They are mean, bitchy people. If someone is not eating, she is a mean, bad person. If a skinny woman is a mean, bad person, I can almost always guarantee they're eating less than 1,400 calories a day. Almost always guarantee it. I
Hangry.
swear to God, those women will become perfectly normal, well-functioning members of society after they let that go.
Yeah.
Or, you know, quite possibly die from it or whatever. Like the cuntiest old ladies that you know, have you noticed that they're all fucking skinny?
Yeah.
And have weird skin shit? Okay, sorry.
No, but I mean, you are right, though. Hangry is a thing, right? And I didn't even, oh gosh, yeah, the wedding industry needs to change. It's way too hard on women because I fucking hate that. You do not need to lose weight for your wedding day. Who cares? But anyways.
Well, there is
yeah.
just a lot of pressure of like, if I got fitted for a dress and they did alterations and then I was like, okay, I have to be exactly this size for the next 3 months, I would be stressed as fuck.
I get that. I mean, but because slight size, I don't know. I've been like the same size pretty consistently, even when I feel bloated or not. Like I'm around, but I also am not, you know, getting fitted for a skin tight dress anytime in the near future.
Yeah.
So that's true as well. I haven't been through any wedding dress fittings, but yeah, I don't think this relationship lasted. I think this wedding night, I don't even think they got the pictures. I think they said we're annulling.
They probably just have pictures of that 6-year-old looking awesome in a little white bow tie. How cute.
In white jeans. I'm kind of like, okay, that mom knows how to
cute.
dress.
Literally so Jonas Brothers vibes.
And I love that. I think that's iconic. Like, good for that kid. And if
Yeah.
you're really worried about a 6-year-old outshadowing you in any way, shape, or form, just know that 6-year-old probably is going to have something traumatizing happen to them very soon. So why would you want that?
What?
Right? When you're 6, something traumatizing is going to happen. When you're a kid, trauma just follows you.
For me, it's 11, but
I mean, I don't know what age, but you know what I mean? Like when you're kids, like even if you try and run away from it, something traumatic's going to happen when you're a kid. It happens to every kid. So, you know, be happy. Like, yeah, sure, he might be happy. He's full of ignorance. Okay. Be happy in the fact that you know how to live your life. I try to be wise. I don't think it hit. That's fine.
thank you so much for tuning in. You can find me at Hannah Jones Cool.
And you can find me at Calvin Reed _REID.
And you can find our Patreon at patreon.com/Hannah Jones Cool. Thanks for tuning in. Goodbye.
Bye.